would like to pass on a very simple illustration for this afternoon as a thinking exercise. A thinking exercise for our beautiful farmers here, farmers of thought. If you happen to be in a relationship with someone and the relationship becomes abusive for whatever reason, there's a quarrel between husband and wife, then they start fighting each other, they start beating each other up, and then you start breaking each other's legs and things like that. There are a few things which suggest you can do. If the relationship has gone sour, you want to find out that you move out of the house and make space for the other partner, or you both sell the house and go and start life somewhere else. But you cannot be divorced and you're still staying in the same house. It becomes toxic for yourselves and toxic for your children. I'm using this illustration to share some political information that is very critical. See, when you are staying in the same house and then the relationship becomes abusive, you cannot stay in the same house with the same partner because the environment will not be conducive for yourselves, for your children, and even you might end up destroying your own property. And in the same illustration, you don't fight with your partner, and after you have fought with your partner, you go to the zoo and then you go and buy a snake, or go to the jungle and go and get a snake and then bring it into the house because you want the snake to settle the differences between a husband and a wife. And then the snake does not know both of you. The snake will bite you, the snake will bite your children, the snake will bite your wife, and the snake will own this house if you are not careful. It will kill all of you and then take over the house. See, this is the mindset I wanted us to start applying our minds in as Africans. Some say I'm too old. That's a compliment. Some say I'm a baboon. Well, for your own information, I actually come from the tribe of the baboons. It's not an insult at all. But when there is a disagreement in the house, you don't pull out an enemy, you don't pull out a snake to come into the house to settle the differences. What am I trying to say is in a simple illustration of Zimbabwe, for example, in a simple illustration of Africa, you have Congo that is struggling, and the Belgians and the Germans and the Americans don't want to leave that country because they're still benefiting from the resources of that country. And you cannot miss it in Mozambique. When the Portuguese were kicked out, they don't want to leave Mozambique. They still want their hands on the resources of the country. When the British were kicked out of Kenya on the Mau Mau, they didn't want to leave Kenya. To date, they don't want to leave Kenya. I feel sorry for the French countries because to date, the French government is still collecting money from those African countries. Now, my question is, if you are not interested in me as your partner, you're not interested in my page as Farmers of Thought, let's do a nice divorce, Get out of the house. Just pack your bags and get out of the house. Get out of here and leave me in peace. Close your embassies on my page. Go to your own embassies on your own pages. Close your embassies and move out of my space. Give me space at least to think and to recover. And the countries, all African countries that were under colonialism, they were abused for many years. You cannot keep an abuser in the house. You can't keep an abuser in the house. They will constantly abuse you. And then you have some of the children in the house who go to look for thugs outside of the house to come and help them to beat up the mother or to beat up the father. When you have beaten up your father and you have burnt your house, what will you have for an inheritance? Wake up, African children. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you fact. If the Americans don't want a relationship with us, then why are you bothering yourselves with us? Just pack your embassies and go back to America. Then someone asked me, what do you do with the embassy in America? They can have the embassy in America. We will have the embassy that is here in terms of buildings, if that is property. But I don't think you are normal in your head. When you constantly go back to the person who abused you and you're asking for pocket money, now you're asking for airtime, Now you're asking, can you buy me a dress? I need more money for my car. The same person who abused you, then you run around them and you beg them, then you are sick also. There is a condition when a person has been abused, when they look at the abuser as a solution to their problems. You know, an abused person, when they begin to blame themselves as to why were they abused, they begin to, maybe I was putting on a short dress, or maybe I didn't speak nicely, or maybe this man did this, or maybe this woman did. When you start apologizing for being abused, then you are now psychologically twisted. You are now you cannot stand with the abuser and then you sympathize with the abuser as to why did they abuse you? Which school did you go to, you young people who insult me here on this page? Which school did you go to? How do you look for solutions from the same system that has colonized you? How do you go begging to the same system that has put you under this travesty? How do you beg the man who has killed your children, raped your children, taken away your land, locked you up in low production lands, and you still want to tell me around here that no, you have corruption? Yes, if mom and dad have corruption in the house, that is the issue of the house, which must be discussed in the house. We cannot talk to a snake to come and settle our conflicts within the house. No, the snake does not know you. The snake does not know me. It will bite all of us and our children. Put that between your heads. Put that between your heads. And when you are abused, you need counseling. Serious counseling. Because when you are abused, you might not end up getting married again. You might end up hating all other men. You might end up hating everybody else. The problem is not ZANU-PF. The problem is not MDC. I'm addressing the external forces that want to get involved in solving our domestic problem as the children of Zimbabwe, as the children of Africa. We cannot walk up to IMF to come and settle our economic issues. We cannot go to the World Bank to come and settle our economic issues. Africa, we have enough resources. If we clamp down on our resources and we sell them to the partners who are interested in our resources, be it India, be it the Arabs, be it the Chinese, the same money we are borrowing from World Bank and IMF, we have the resources. We have the resources. Which part of that could be more confusing to the young people who have drank the intoxication of universities, come around, have done political science, I believe in the rule of law, democracies, and we must now look for preferential trade areas, free trade and all this beautiful poison from the same colonial system. Your heads are twisted. Your heads are twisted. And take it from an old man. I've been around a few days. I've seen a little bit more. Before you argue, just remember, when you burn your father's house, you will inherit ashes. You don't go look for a thug to come and beat up your father. And even in the midst of your anger, remember your inheritance as African children. Anyone who is coming here now to help you out of the problems, they will also want you to pay them for the help they will have given you. The question is, they are helping you at what cost? There's nothing for free in this world. Aiko into ya mahala. Hapana cha mahara pano. You put something in, you want something out also. Yes, you can call anybody else to come and help you. But after they have helped you, how much are you going to pay for the help that they will have given you? Young people, like Munyamnos, go back home to your mother. Ask her to teach you how to speak nicely. Don't walk around with a dirty mouth, swearing everybody else. Clean up your mouth, young man. We are not playing here. We mean business. We mean business. So don't come around showing us what kind of a home you are coming from. Sober up a little bit. Sober up a little bit. If you are talking about corruption, thank you very much, Tindo Tendai, for addressing corruption. Corruption, there are three things you must understand. Number one, there is corruption, which is the venue. Number two, there is the corruptor, who is the one who is holding the money. Number three, there is the corruptee, the one who is receiving the money. And corruption is only the place where it is happening. Can I ask you the question? Who is the corrupter? Who are the corruptees? And when you are corrupting someone, you don't corrupt them with all the money for the project. You give them the short change of the project. Therefore, you need to understand that the corruptors are in the banks. The corruptors are in the insurance companies. The corruptors are in the pharmaceutical industries. The corruptors are in the mining industries. They're the ones who come here and buy a mine for 50 million, a mine which is valued at $2 billion. Who is corrupt, therefore? Is it the one who is receiving change, or the one who is buying the whole resources and abusing us forever? Start thinking. Start thinking. Corruption comes from a corrupter, not a corruptee, a corrupter. So who is the corrupter? If you can answer that question of who is the corrupter, then we can talk corruption. Because corruption is sitting at the citadel of the capitalistic system which is running neo-colonialism in Africa. With those few words, think. If you don't like me, please go. If you don't like me, please go. Find a closest lake and jump. Drown yourself in there. Because at the end of the day, this is my father's land. This is my motherland. I am not going anywhere for what it is worth. Africa belongs to Africans. You can never trust a white hand to come and help you to settle your differences. It comes at a cost. Think on these things.